Welcome to this Infosecurity Europe podcast.
My name is D.Nicholls. I'm the Head of Information Security, Risk and Compliance for Ramsey Healthcare UK. We have the same conversation every year. What's evolving, what's new, what does the new threat landscape look like? And I don't think it's really changing that much. It's still the same types of attacks. I think if anything, we're seeing an increase in ransomware. And that's really beginning to hit businesses more often now than probably it has done in any other year. And it's really difficult now to recover from it because there's such proliferation of it. Now, my personal view is you should never pay the criminals, because that's what they are. They are criminals, and as soon as you pay them, you effectively become an easy target. We know we're going to get money out of you again, so we'll attack you again, and it goes on and on. However, I do appreciate that for some businesses they're left with no option, because at the end of the day they need to get systems back online and get the business up and running again. So it comes to a point that you have to negotiate. Now, what we are seeing a change in is the way that cyber insurers are dealing with this, because ransomware is more prolific. Policies are going up. Some cyber insurers are actually refusing to cover organizations for ransomware attacks, and where they do cover you, the list of controls that you have to have in place to make the policy actually valid are huge, and sometimes some organizations will have to do a lot of sort of weighing up in terms of cost versus reward here, in terms of, do we spend an awful lot of money on these controls? We're still going to have to pay for a really expensive policy and trade that off against paying potentially a ransom if they do get hit by ransomware. People have talked about legislation in terms of making it an offence to pay ransoms. But as I said earlier on, when you're in the midst of a ransomware attack, you could be left with no other option. You've got to get your business back online and running operations. And if unfortunately your production systems are compromised, your backups are compromised, and you've got no way of getting your data back, what options do you have? There are consultancy firms now, typically engaged by cyber insurance companies or directly by the organizations themselves, that will come in and they will negotiate with criminals. They will try and get some sort of a deal, if you can call it that, to get access to the data. But we've also got to remember that sometimes things go horrendously wrong, where companies have got the decryption keys back off the criminals and then actually found out that they don't work. So they've paid a ransom, they've got some useless decryption keys, and they're not actually getting their data back. The other side that we're also seeing now is the attackers are also threatening to release data. So this could obviously have huge impacts on an organization. There'll be, depending on the type of information it is, they typically go after sort of sensitive information, customer data, personal data, and things like that. There could be fines imposed from a GDPR perspective as well if that gets released, because it's a public breach. So it's a really difficult place to be at the moment. I don't think the staff are causing more issues, to use those words. I think because borders have changed in terms of where security controls are, now that we are at more agile working, and I don't see this going away. We need to look at what's important and where we need to focus our security controls. So previously we spent a lot of money on firewalls and IDS and IPS, etc. But I think now really data is key, and we make use of all these brilliant collaboration tools that really enable the business and give us agility and scalability. And it's easy to now collaborate. But what that means is sometimes it's too easy to share things with the wrong person, and then data gets exposed. So the key piece here is education. I'm not here to stop the business or stop the agility of the business. So I'm all for all cloud tools and the collaboration that brings, as long as it's wrapped up with the right education around how to use them properly, how to make sure you're not over sharing data, overexposing it. And I think also agile working doesn't mean just working from home. People are working much more in different sort of rented office spaces near their homes, or going to coffee shops or libraries, etc. We just need to be extra careful around who's around us, and when we're having that Zoom call or that Teams meeting, who's in the room with you? What are you talking about? Is it sensitive information? Should you have a privacy screen on your laptop? Should you have your earphones in, rather than just allowing anyone to listen in on what the conversation is? Education, I think, is key, and it's just keeping people alert to the threats. I think sometimes people, because we've been working in this agile way of working for nearly 2 years now, I think maybe some people have got a bit complacent. And for us, certainly in my organisation, education is continuous. It doesn't just start and end with an e-learning course once a year that you've got to do. It's about using different mediums. It's about making sure that people have the key messages getting to them, and that can be, well, we'd like to do it in person, but failing in person, we have workshops over Teams, and we have messages that go out on the internet. We use newsletters. We call out and celebrate when people spot phishing emails, because we can use those as case studies and show that this is the types of things that are coming into inbox at the moment, what people need to look out for. And we also don't just focus on the business. Our education messages are about being safe in your personal lives as well. So we talk about, how do I stick MFA on my social media accounts? How do I turn on all the privacy settings and make sure I'm not oversharing details around that? How do I safely shop online? Because we feel if we can change people's behaviours generally, then that's going to have a good impact in the work environment as well.
Thank you for listening to this Infosecurity Europe podcast.